Michael Douglas joining us. He's in the movie Ant-Man and the Wasp. Hits theaters July 6th. What did you say to Dale Jr. when you saw him?
I said, good luck on the book tour.
Yeah.
I followed he and certainly his father's career a lot. I am actually a Formula One fan.
Oh.
I mean, I watch NASCAR a little bit, but I'm a big Formula One fan for the last 30 years.
And a car geek?
I'm a car geek. As mentioned earlier, I started off, I was in a hot rod club in Westport, Connecticut, the Downshifters. I had a 47 Mercury with a Model A axle in the back, so it was sort of slanted. I used to call it the ruptured duck. Was my car, and I loved that.
Were you a tough guy?
Well, no, I pretended to be.
It'd be tough to be a tough guy in Westport.
Let's just say tough guy in Westport. And let's say if I was in Downshifters and I was wearing my jacket, I'd probably be in the back of the pack. But then I was really fortunate in one of my first movie I ever did called Adam at 6 a.m. Steve McQueen was my producer. And in the picture, I got to drive. I got paid like nothing for it. I think $3,000 for 3 months' work. It's 1969. And in the movie, I drove this tangerine orange Porsche. And that tangerine orange color they used to drive. And I finished the picture, and I said goodbye to Steve, and he held up a pair of keys for me.
Oh, boy.
And he said, here you go, pal. And I was really, really touched by that. And as a result, I kind of befriended Steve, and he was very nice to me, and he was preparing for Le Mans. So he used to go out to Willow Springs track outside on the weekends and was driving Richie Ginther's 908 Porsche, and he was really fast. He was a quarter of a second off the track record. And so spending time with him out there, I then got into the Jim Russell driving school, which took like Formula Fs and taught you to drive. And so I do the Southern California circuit for a while, racing Formula Fs until I crashed.
Oh, boy.
And then I realized this is not a weekend sport, really. You better do this a little more often.
Yeah, something more dangerous, being an actor.
Yeah, right.
What's the reaction when you're an East Coast guy, but what do you get walking the streets? What do people say to you?
Well, you keep moving. I don't wait for too much for reaction. Just depends.
But if they yell out the window,
if they love me, hey, Mike, I get a lot, because if you keep moving and keep walking, that's the secret. Don't stop.
Okay.
Because then you can hear afterwards, and they go, Mike, they yell you down and all that. Greed is good, huh? That's probably the one I get more than anything else.
But when you saw that line in the script, did it resonate with you that what greed is good was going to mean to Gordon Gekko and Wall Street? And
no, that whole part was, I was the bad guy. I was the villain. It's always shocked me how many people on Wall Street have said, oh, man, you're the reason I became a stockbroker. And I said, I went to jail, man. I went to jail. Oh, no. It's all right, going on.
I didn't know. Like, we rooted for you, and I don't know why we rooted for you.
Because I had nice clothes. That's all it was, man. I had really nice clothes. I should thank my costume designer.
And a nice wife and a nice girlfriend, too.
Yeah, exactly.
You had it all.
So I had it all, and I had money, and I lied, and I cheated, and then that was it. So it's always made me a little disturbed that people just love that character as much as they did.
But Kevin Costner talked about Field of Dreams, where he said that line, do you want to have a catch, with his dad. Mm-hmm. And he said, I saw that and realized that the movie is built around that line. And I was wondering about that with Wall Street. It feels like greed is good. The movie's built around that line, whether that was by design or not, it feels like.
Yeah, but it was Oliver Stone wrote a great screenplay, a great script, and Gordon Gekko had a lot to say in it. And Greed is Good was a line inside of a very long monologue that he gave at a shareholders meeting, which he incorporated the US of A and a lot of other things. And so, yeah, but it did end up standing out, and that was the clip of that speech they tended to use more than any other.
But when you see that character and the hair and the way you look, and as rumor has it, that it was based off Pat Riley.
No, Pat is a dear friend of mine.
But it wasn't based off Riley's look? Or did Riley base his look off you?
No, I was looking at, it was the last decision. No, the wardrobe and all was tied in with a designer here in Wall Street and everything else. And the character's name was Gecko, and Pat and I was a close friend. And I looked at Pat's greased hair, and that was like the last decision. I got close and I said, yeah, I'm going to go for it. So I did steal it from Pat. And it was very effective.
The suspenders, the whole. Look at that guy right there. We got the picture in there.
But Pat doesn't wear suspenders.
No. Who is that guy right there when you look at him?
Well, it's a character.
Yeah.
You make
but
him
that
up
time of
a combination. There were two or three, which will go unnamed, big time players on Wall Street that I incorporated some of their elements, having met some of them, and then you know what your role is in the part, and you try to personify and create this Gordon Gecko villain.
How do I get your attention with this script nowadays?
Well, you have to have it come through. I can't look at unsolicited material.
But when you see something that is handed to you, is it drama? Is it being a bad guy?
It is if it's a good movie. If I read the script, I never worry about a part. I just want to be in good movies. And sometimes, sometimes you get a good part, or sometimes Sharon Stone gets the good part, So I read a script, and I produce a lot, so I'm used to working on scripts and structure and all of that, and so I just try to find a good script. I'm emotionally moved, either makes me laugh, I'm scared, thrilled, whatever it is, whatever the emotion is. And then I'll put it down, and then if it sticks with me, then I go back and I break it down. I structurally break it down, and I see if it really works, that I wasn't just seduced by the words on the page, but I can structurally see that the whole piece makes sense, and that's usually the process.
But are you looking at it, can you look at it as through a producer's lens, and then as an actor's lens?
Yeah, no, I even as an actor, because of the producing experience, I look at it as a producer. So I think, and that's one of the things that helps me as an actor, because I know that the only thing that matters, I don't want to be good in a bad movie. I want to be good in a good movie.
Yeah.
And if I got a smaller part or anything else, and I want everybody else to be good, I want them to be as best as they can. You hear some of these actors insecure or trying to mess up other actors. No, man, I always embrace everybody, encourage everybody to be as good as they can, make it an environment, a working relationship that's as good as it possibly can, so everybody's doing their best work.
You made it tough for guys to go to movies with some of your roles there. You know that.
It sounds like you're talking about Fatal Attraction.
Disclosure in there?
Well, Disclosure, I'm sorry to mention that. When I've been lucky in this Me Too movement that they haven't jumped on me for Disclosure.
How would that be now?
I don't know. That would go over too well, where a female boss was harassing a man.
Yeah.
That would not go over too well. Fatal Attraction was just a classic story. The worst what if situation of having an affair. And I must say, I had a lot of my friends say, wow, thanks a lot, Mike. Thanks a lot, man.
That's a tough date movie, though, Michael.
Tough date movie. Tough date. The best was, I think, was when I was doing interviews in that movie for France. And France would say, we all have mistresses in France. This is nothing, huh? It was a huge hit in France. Every French wife dragged their husband out to see that movie,
Was there any part, like Basic Instinct, when you read that, when you see that, when Sharon Stone comes in, like at what point did you go, uh-oh, not uh-oh, but we're onto something here. Like this is going to be big.
Well, when we were casting it, I was working, I really was actively involved. It was the early 1990s, and I wanted to do a slam dance movie. It was a very conservative time, and I was looking for a real slam dance movie. And Paul Verhoeven, wonderful director, and so we found this wonderful script, but we had to cast a lady. And Paul is Dutch director, and he's a little in-your-face directly, and he was having a little problem with the casting. Because a lot of times he would go to all these actresses. He said, "Yeah, there'll be a lot of nudity, huh? There's a lot of nudity." And I said, "Paul, easy, nudity. You have Paul, tell him something else, Paul. It's a good picture. I mean, nudity." And then, so we were having trouble casting it. And then I was in Europe, and then he sent me a tape of an audition he did with Sharon Stone. And it's what movies are all about, is proper casting. And you saw this tape going, wow, she'd be great. And the rest is history.
We're talking to Michael Douglas. Ant-Man and the Wasp hits theaters July 6th. What attracted you to Dr. Pym?
Well, this is a sequel to the original one was Ant-Man. And I have never done one of these green screen CGI movies. All my career, almost every movie I've done has been contemporary and just psychological thrillers, character-driven. I've never done one of these. So I was just really excited about the chance to do them, and it's just a wild trip. I mean, I have a whole new appreciation about acting when there's nothing there. I mean, you just got green walls, and they have a little bit on the floor, and they tell you, this is coming in from the right, or look up here on the left, and you think, and you really feel like an idiot, but you trust your director. And you trust the angles that you're looking. And so when you're doing it, you really don't know how it's working out. So I just saw Ant-Man and the Wasp the night before in L.A. We had a big Hollywood premiere. We blocked off Hollywood Boulevard, like old-fashioned. It was so cool. And it's great. It's absolutely
But how
just
tough
great.
is that to act when you're not acting with somebody?
It is. It's hard. I mean, I was humbled and had a whole new appreciation. I mean, saying that, once you kind of get into the thick of things, I mean, who doesn't want to get small? You know what I mean?
Back in the 70s, I got small, Michael.
Right.
It's a different way of getting small back then.
So it was amazing, and to see how they tied all together. And when we were shooting the picture down in Atlanta, and I'd go from set to set, because one set has just the actors like you and I are here. Another set would have our stunt doubles doing their stuff. Another one would have the CGI, and then finally there's some guys doing little tiny miniature work with all this stuff in the thing, and you never see it all together. So I'm really happy about it. And the other thing that really came home to me as this wonderful response is coming in is, Dan, this divisive time in the world, in our country, everything seems to be fragmented. Everybody's polarized and arguing. A big movie like this brings everybody together. And the idea that this picture is showing around the world reminds you in 40 different languages. People are laughing.
Pretty amazing.
It really reminds me of the joy and appreciation of movies and the movie industry, and how what we do and how we export it, and how it brings together so many people.
Comedy versus drama. Which tougher?
Comedy's much tougher. I mean, think about your friends. Don't we all cherish a funny friend?
Yeah.
And we got enough friends that are serious.
Yeah.
It's that guy who's funny. I don't know why it doesn't get the attention and acknowledgement at Oscar time. I've been fortunate enough where I've tried on 4 or 5 pictures to do some comedy. Did a picture Romancing the Stone years ago. And we did, a dark comedy picture called The War of the Roses, which we did a while ago. And one of the reasons I wanted to do Ant-Man and the Wasp was to do comedy. And it's very difficult, the least of which is there's no audience. So you don't know, you go, da-da-da-da-da. And it sits out there. You don't get that. You just get a silent sound stage. And you're sort of dreaming, what's this going to sound like 6 months from now, when they put it all together. So.
I loved Falling Down, too.
Thank you. Falling Down was, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, but...
That was a good line. I get that line a lot.
Oh, you
the
do?
Bad guy?
Do you like being the bad guy?
Well, yeah. I mean, being the bad guy...
Is it easier being the bad guy?
Being easier. I mean, being the villain has done more for, I mean, everybody's acting career. My father, Kirk, did like about 6 pictures as the sensitive young man before he did a picture called Champion. 1950, got nominated for Academy Award where he played a nasty-ass boxer and was really good. I went a long way earlier in my career before I did Wall Street and got an Oscar and sort of made me attention. And it's interesting because when I look back and when we were producing One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and we're trying to find the actress to play Nurse Ratched, we couldn't find an actress to do it. They all turned it down. Because at that moment in the women's movement, no woman wanted to be a villain. You didn't want to be a villain. Here was this fabulous part. We had 5 major actresses turn it down before we found Louise Fletcher, who went on to win the Oscar for Best Actress.
Nurse Ratched.
Right.
Was Jack the original guy that you wanted? Nicholson?
No, we actually, you have to remember back then, Jack had done like Easy Rider, 5 easy pieces. He had more of the image of sort of the intellectual, he was a little bit of the sensitive young man with humor. So we had gone after Gene Hackman for R.P. McMurphy. We'd gone after Marlon Brando for it, you know, and that didn't work. And then a director, Hal Ashby, showed me the picture he did. It was called The Last Detail, where Jack was playing a career Navy officer. That was the first time we saw some of the gravitas and the bulk and the size.
Did you know immediately?
We knew immediately when we got up there. It wasn't just Jack. We knew because we had to wait for him for a while, and we spent an inordinate amount of time casting the picture. And if you look at that picture, it's probably one of the most beautifully cast films in terms of that all those patients.
Danny DeVito.
Danny was in there, and Christopher Lloyd, and all of them. So we knew we had something special. I couldn't tell you what, but it was riveting when you used to watch the dailies.
And did you room with DeVito?
I did. Danny was my roommate here in New York when I first came to the city as an actor.
What were you guys like going to casting, you know, whatever, when you're auditioning?
Well, we hang out a lot together. It was, I mean, we... You know, it's tough to tell a lot of the stories, Dan, you know.
You could tell
it
one.
No, it was the 60s and early 70s, Dan. It was hard to tell much, but
okay.
we had a good time. We had a good time. He was a good roommate.
I could just imagine you two walking into a bar.
We had a good time.
I know that you golf. Tougher golfing or acting?
Oh, golfing. Golfing. I mean, I have some continuity in my acting career. When I'm golfing, I don't know who's showing up. You know.
Okay.
You know, I mean, I know I'm going to go to work in the morning. I got that part.
Yeah, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, you know, I know when and that's what you probably. I know you're a good golfer, and you know, for me, it's tempo. You know, and I've really got to count on my tempo being there. When I start getting fast.
Trouble.
And getting short.
Snap it
left.
left.
And getting short, it's you know, it makes you look really embarrassing.
Don't you think Arnold Palmer looked like a movie star?
Arnold Palmer looked like a movie star?
Like when he was young and he had the tight shirts and smoking heaters.
I guess I looked, I guess so. I mean, his swing sure wasn't like a movie star.
It was not.
As good as his swing was. I mean, Sam Snead.
It wasn't glamorous. Yeah, Sam Snead had a great.
Sam Snead, I mean, you see every club you go to, you see those pictures.
Even in his 80s.
With the turn that he had.
If I said you could be Jack Nicklaus, or you could have your career.
Oh, man, that's a tough call. That's a really tough call, Dan. Jack Nicklaus.
Yes.
I could have Jack Nicklaus. I could have more majors than anybody in the history of golf.
Yes.
I think I got to go Jack.
All right. Whenever we have in somebody big time, I always say to my guys, the Danettes, they get together for one question. Okay.
They get together for one?
Yeah, that's it. That's all they got.
All they got is one?
One question.
Man, you really run a tight ship here.
I do, Michael.
It's 4 of them and 1 of you.
Yeah, I know.
I know it's your show.
Yeah, it is. Okay. Paulie is the designated speaker here. The one question that the Danettes have collaborated on for Michael Douglas is?
Dan, this is Michael Douglas, who you may have to give us a 1A, but Mr. Douglas, the horizontal striped shirt you wore in Wall Street, did you get to keep it?
Yes, I did. I keep all of my wardrobes. They're in my archives. You can't wear it.
The shirt was a big deal.
The shirt was a very big deal. Set a whole fashion tone for a lot of people.
So it's just stored away.
It's stored away. That's it.
Okay, you guys got 1A here. Yeah, Fritzy.
I just always wanted to know from Fatal Attraction, because that movie just stuck with me, was that line, I'm not going to be ignored. Do you get that to this day? Does anyone say
Michael,
that?
he does that to me all the time. When I ignore him, I just want to make sure
one of the greatest lines that can make history.
I always check the stove, Michael, when I come in with Fritzy, just to let you know.
They had some visceral. I remember that scene when I come back home to my apartment, and I hear her voice talking to my wife in the apartment, and she's looking, she's looking to buy the apartment, but she's about to have a baby. She's pregnant. Ooh. Even now.
Just the setup of that.
Yeah.
Where we're in your head on what you're thinking as you hear Glenn Close, and you just know how's this going to end here?
Yeah. No, it was a really brilliantly structured film.
Okay, one more and that's it. McLovin?
This one might get you in trouble, Dan. Are you allowed to answer this question? Are you in Avengers 4? All right.
I'm not allowed to answer that question.
Okay. Forget it.
Because if I start to open my mouth, there's a blowgun in the side of my neck from Marvel Films that comes in and gets it. Nobody wants to know if I'm a Jets fan. I'm a Jets fan.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, I am. I root because of Pat Riley. I support the Miami Heat.
Are you a diehard Jets fan?
Yeah, well, I started out in way back in the beginning of my life as a Giants fan, but I also was under the aura of Joe Namath. And
How old were you when they won Super Bowl III?
Oh, I was old enough. What year was that? I was
69?
69, so I was 24, 25.
But were you a Jets fan then when they won? And you were a Giants fan growing up?
I was a Giants fan growing up, and that's sort of that year and him calling it sort of moved me over.
What if you could be Jack Nicklaus or Joe Namath?
Well, Jack Nicklaus.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. So
God bless Joe.
Are we good? We're all good. So we don't know if he's in Avenger 4, McLovin.
I have some quantum realm questions, some Ant-Man questions, subatomic stuff, but you guys would not understand. Only me and Michael would.
Ant-Man and the Wasp hits theaters July 6th. Thank you for stopping by, Michael.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.